Welcome, whether you're here live or watching the recording. I am so excited to teach this class and specifically teach it with these ladies. It's such an honor. So I'm Kristen Tigas and I have two boys. I have a 7-year-old and then my youngest just turned 4 yesterday, which seems crazy that 4 years ago was my last labor and delivery of a child. But anyways, I'm a health coach. I'm a Blue Diamond with doTERRA and we're a Founder 2.0. And I love talking all things pregnancy and babies. And I'm really excited to be here today with Rebecca Hood. She is literally this today. I hope it's okay if I share. It is her due date today. So we're so excited that she's feeling awesome and feeling good enough to be able to share today. And, we'll keep her distracted until that baby's ready to come out. And then Morgan Jameson is also joining us. Morgan, how old is baby Ellis right now?
He's 7 weeks. Thursday, he was 7 weeks.
Okay, so amazing. So Rebecca is a nurse and Morgan is a physician assistant, a PA. I spelled that right? Anyways, so I am so excited to teach with them because they both come with very diverse experiences and are also moms and have really walked the journey. They've used essential oils and natural things to support themselves through the process of being pregnant, and Morgan has in delivery as well. And yeah, we're just really excited for all of you that are on here, whether you're just considering being pregnant or maybe you have people in your life that you are supporting that are going through the process of growing a family, or maybe you, I don't know, are still thinking and praying about it. Either way, we're excited that you're here and we're excited to empower you. So we'll have time at the end for Q&A, but if questions come up throughout this class, feel free to use the chat feature and just put the questions in there, and then we'll circle back around to those at the end of the class. I wanted to start off just with some base foundation things. And the first thing that I wanted to share is this really great quote. It says that birth is not only about making babies, birth is about making mothers strong, competent, capable mothers who trust themselves and know their inner strength. And I love this quote because so much of being pregnant and then delivering a baby is really preparing us for what's to come with having a child. And really all along the way, as mothers, as fathers, we're making decisions for this little life that we get to steward and love and take care of. And everybody's going to do it differently. So that is one of the things I wanted to say, that we in this class honor you no matter what perspective you're coming from, what you're planning to do for your delivery. But we will tell you that we love using essential oils and they've empowered us so much throughout pregnancy and delivery. It's my belief that the way mainstream culture really approaches pregnancy, labor, and postpartum really disempowers women. We are not necessarily encouraged to learn from lots of different perspectives. And a lot of times we're just outsourcing. We're handing our power over to somebody else that at the end of the day doesn't have to raise the child that we're going to take care of. And so anyways, I believe that our health and education and our choices throughout pregnancy, birth, and postpartum really are our responsibility. And we're all going to do it differently. That is a no-brainer, and that's great. But the decisions we make, they affect generations, and they're not one size fits all. But I think education is key because it really helps us to be able to land on the spot where we feel the most peace, and our family is going to experience the most peace as a result of it. I also believe we can't control everything about our birth. Sometimes the best plan during labor is no longer the one that you expected for, you planned for, but you do have more control than you realize. And if you've learned ahead of time, a lot of times birth is going to go a lot better than what you had, or what it's going to go better than what the world would tell you, because you feel equipped for the different things that get thrown at you, and you've already processed through them ahead of time. I also believe that your village is one of your greatest gifts as a mom, and that starts in pregnancy and delivery. And so that's one of the reasons we love doing classes like these, because really we can connect with one another. And that's why I encourage you, even throughout the class, like ask questions, share in the chat, interact with us. I think there might even be some other essential oil leaders on this class as well. And we want you to even make connections while you're here, potentially, because again, your village is one of your greatest gifts in your journey as a mom. So continuing on with the thread of just sharing perspective, one of the most common questions that I get when it comes to the topic of pregnancy and birth, and then also for babies, is, are oils safe? The first thing that I'll tell you is we really believe that it's important with everything really in life is to be cautious, not fearful. Because as a mom, if fear is your main, the main thing that's like kind of steering the ship, you're probably not going to end up at like the best decision for yourself or your family. Fear, in my opinion, is not a great leader when it comes to making decisions for your family. And with essential oils, the great thing is they are from nature. They are from plants, and so therefore they are so much more, our body knows so much more of how to process them, how to get the benefits from them. Whereas obviously there's some pretty clear things within pregnancy where it's like even medications and stuff like that, what you can take is pretty limited, because it really does impact the baby, because medications are synthetic, like they have side effects. And essential oils, on the other hand, they're natural, and our body knows more what to do with them. So if you just Google things on the internet, I will just tell you, you're probably not going to find the most helpful information. But I want to kind of direct you and share some things that might be helpful for you as you process again and navigate what you're going to use while you're pregnant and during your delivery. So first, blanket statements. Like if people are saying things, whether it's on social media or in a blog or whatever it is online, where they just say blanket statements of oils aren't safe, it's usually like an inflammatory sort of statement where they're just trying to get people's attention. And honestly, like, yeah, just draw people's attention and have people listen to them, because it's just not a factual statement. Oils are safe when they're used properly. And quality and price really does make a huge difference, because when it comes down to it, when you have a company you can trust, like for instance, all three of us use doTERRA essential oils, and we use them because we trust the company. The company values research and science, and you'll see like later on the slide, I talk about doTERRA. They literally have a medical advisory panel that consists of a variety of different medical practitioners. And there are many like OBGYNs, midwives all across the board that are using doTERRA within their practices, that again, really value science and are using that as the guide for them as they make decisions for what to recommend with pregnant moms and babies and all those sorts of things. So having a company you trust is really important. I don't buy oils off the store shelves, because I'll give you an example. When so like if you Google again, like, are oils safe? I've actually seen an article where it talks about Arbor Vitae. And Arbor Vitae is an oil that in this article, it talks about it being a known like neurotoxic oil. And this statement actually can be true if you're getting, so doTERRA's Arbor Vitae is from Canada, and doTERRA uses the wood pulp from the trees, the Arbor Vitae trees. If you make Arbor Vitae oil from the needles of the tree, then you get a constituent that is neurotoxic. And companies that are making oils that are really cheap, a lot of times they'll use plant material that's a lot cheaper, like the needles, instead of the pulp. And so if you get arbor vitae oil that's made from the needles, there can be like neurotoxic aspects to it because of the constituents. Whereas like with arbor vitae oil that's from the pulp, it actually has lots of really beneficial constituents in it, none of the neurotoxic ones. And I use it often with my kids as a way to support their immune systems. So that's an example again, where like you can make a really inflammatory statement online and it might be true about like really cheap garbage oils, but when it comes to a company like doTERRA that's making all their decisions based in the science, that's just not going to happen. They're not going to create an oil. Like I literally, I've talked to Dr. Hill. He's one of the leading medical researchers since the beginning of doTERRA. And I've asked him a lot of questions about safety with pregnancy and babies. And one of the statements he said to me was, well, Kristen, you know that like a majority of the people that buy oils from us at this point are like pregnant moms and moms. We're not going to create oils that aren't safe for that category of people. And so I love that. I love that he can make a statement like that really is rooted in science and research. So I think you guys get the idea. Our class today is going to be primarily based on some research from Robert Tisserand and then Rodney Young. They have a huge book. I think I actually have it here, but it's called Essential Oil Safety, and it's very in-depth. They've studied aromatherapy and essential oils for years and years and years, 45 years combined. And they have honestly really conservative standards when it comes to safety. And I just encourage you as you go and as you use oils as a mom, the biggest thing is to do things like you're doing today. Join in with other people in your community that are doing the research, that are actually using oils in their life, and then are like learning through resources like you see at the bottom of the screen. The doTERRA Science blog, there's the Essential Life book, the Symphony of the Cells book, aromaticscience.com, pubmed.gov, all that kind of stuff. Go ahead, Becca.
Awesome. Okay, so now we're going to talk about how we're going to be using these oils in pregnancy. And the biggest thing that people always want to know is, what oils can I not use? First of all, can you hear me okay? I was having really bad signal in the beginning.
Yeah, you're great. I'm hearing you great.
Yay. So things to avoid while you're pregnant are clary sage and jasmine. This is what the oils that you want to save until you are in labor, because they help the uterus contract and will help keep labor progressing. So you're not wanting to use those before that time of pregnancy when you're going into labor. And then wintergreen, because it acts similarly in our bodies to aspirin and thinning the blood. So you're wanting to avoid that while you're pregnant as well. And then while breastfeeding, some people may have a decrease in milk supply if they use peppermint. It's not everyone, but some people just like to avoid it just to not go down that route. But a good alternative is spearmint to use. So those are like the big things I feel like that people always want to know right off the bat. But how to use essential oils while you're pregnant, you can use them the 3 ways that I've used them before I was pregnant. So just using them topically. This is great for areas of need. We're going to, in a couple of slides, we're going to talk about symptoms of pregnancy. And a lot of these will talk about topical use of where to apply the oil. But diluting the oil is great for safety as well, just to help your body absorb it effectively and efficiently, as well as safely. Doesn't need to be diluted all the time. It's just a great option, especially for once baby comes and you're wanting to dilute the oils, then for sure. We even have that dilution chart over on the right-hand side once we're in that stage of life of how to dilute for kiddos and babies. But just as a reminder, if you're new to essential oils, consistency is where it's at. Using it like a couple of times a day, for sure, morning and night, that's when you're going to get the best results, because your body is going to be having like a therapeutic amount in your body that it's reacting to. So the second way that you can use them is diffusing them, using them aromatically. Some of the benefits we listed here, purifying the air, aiding in respiratory function, it affects the mood, and it reaches our limbic system quickly. And this is something that is a response in our body from just breathing in the essential oil. So truly amazing, and can be very beneficial when you're nauseous, when you're anxious. Like I said, we're going to talk about those in a couple of slides over, but just wanting to give you kind of a foundation of how to use them. And lastly is internally, and this is definitely specific usage for oils that we trust and their quality is safe enough to take internally. And doTERRA's oils are actually labeled with like supplement facts for almost like a food label for those that you can take internally. And so that's how we know that they are safe to take internally. And common ones that I've used are Digest Zen, grapefruit. Again, we're going to kind of go more into depth of why we're using those on a couple slides. Get to the next one here. Okay, and I know we are going to touch on fertility today as well. So if this is you in this journey, or if you've experienced this in the past, this is what really brought me to doTERRA to really deep dive into how to support my body naturally, since it was something that I was experiencing. I mean, so common nowadays, that statistic in the US, 1 in 5 women are unable to get pregnant after 1 year of trying. And like I said, if that's you, or if you know someone, just sending the love and hugs out to you, because it is something that, you know, many people are like, oh, can't get pregnant, like, don't want to get pregnant, don't want to get pregnant. And then they try and they're like, what, this isn't like an easy thing. So anyways, here are some things to consider. Zinc deficiency, studies have been shown that this is linked to infertility. Checking in with your GI system. A lot of us can have yeast overgrowth, and this can mimic estrogen in our body. So our body isn't efficiently producing enough estrogen, or fake estrogen, or binding with those receptor sites. So your body is basically not doing like an efficient production of it. And so one of the things that I used to help my body get back on track was doTERRA's Cleanse. This helps attack that yeast overgrowth and balance out the amount of hormones that your body is producing from just supporting your GI system. Another one is stress. So cortisol, or stress hormone, can block the production of progesterone. So grapefruit, like I mentioned, is one of the ones I was taking internally to help that progesterone production in the body, to help combat the cortisol, the stress hormone. So another thing that I did was looked at what products I was using, and using cleaner products, less toxic products in my home, and stuff I was using on my body, because fragrance and synthetic properties can produce xenoestrogens, fake estrogen, that, like I mentioned before, will bind to those receptor sites in your body. So switching can just help lower that amount of xenoestrogen that your body is trying to regulate, and allow progesterone to actually like do its thing. So another thing that is something to consider is your thyroid. My thyroid was technically too low, and they wanted me to get on a thyroid medication to withstand a pregnancy. And I just went to my oils first off and made a roller bottle, and that did the trick. So what I want you to know is, you know, there is great resources naturally that can really be beneficial in helping you get pregnant. And I'll never forget that little line that I didn't realize I was pregnant. My friend Morgan on here was like, no, girl, that's a baby. So if that's you, I just feel you, and we're here to help. If you have any more questions, you know, we can deep dive further into that.
Yeah, one thing I just wanted to add in, first of all, I love hearing your story, Becca. But like the things she's going through, I'm like, they're real things. I just feel like I have to say it, like toxins, for instance. I think sometimes it's like the word is overused, so we kind of just like hear it and glance over it, but there are actually even fertility clinics that do not allow you to wear fragrance in, and they don't allow their staff to wear fragrance in because of the fragrance and the xenoestrogens, and there's scientific proof that shows that it can affect the embryos. So it really is real. And I also recently even connected with somebody that they had been struggling with fertility, and one of their first things they did was to start swapping out some products to minimize these xenoestrogens. They swapped out 6 products, and a month later she was pregnant. So it's real. They're really real things. And I also just would encourage you, like for Tyler and I, we didn't necessarily struggle with fertility, but I still highly recommend to families. I think part of it was we had made a lot of these changes like way prior to us even starting to conceive, but no matter what, I think that's what people should do is like those toxins, of course, like even if you're not struggling with fertility, they still are impacting your body, they're impacting your baby's body, and making those swaps are going to be things that make like lifelong impact for your child. So anyways, thanks for sharing all that stuff, Becca.
Yeah, of course. And then as moving into being pregnant, and now you're thinking, oh, I need to do all these things to make sure my body is staying healthy, it's doing the best it can for my baby. These are some things that are definitely recommended in pregnancy by doctors. Number one, protein, 80 to 100 grams per day. I'm going through, excuse me, a birthing center with midwives. So they really hone in on nutrition because of the research that really decreases the chance of a high risk pregnancy, really keeps your risk low. So that is a really important goal, if you can, to hit every day. It will avoid preterm labor because your baby's not trying to leave. You're providing the nutrients for them. Great ways to do this is doing small protein snacks throughout the day. One thing that my provider always asks me, like, are you supplementing with like a protein shake or collagen? That's really easy ways to get protein in your diet. And I would have to agree that it's really the easiest ways to make sure you're getting enough protein. I drink a protein shake every morning to make sure I'm getting enough. And then I've been using MetaPower, doTERRA's collagen, which is called MetaPower Advantage. I didn't use it in the first trimester because the taste was not as appealing to me as it was prior to being pregnant. But once I got to the second trimester, started using that every day. And I love that their collagen is just more absorbable for our bodies compared to other types of collagen. It has tripeptides in it that your body already knows what to do with it. It's taking away a breakdown process. So great supplement that has even more benefits besides the collagen in it. And then of course, smart supplementation like a prenatal vitamin. I used doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality Pack. It is approved by a lot of midwives. Of course, talk to your doctor about it. It has folate, it has all the things that are needed to support your body. And what's important with the prenatal is you're wanting to make sure your body is actually absorbing it, making sure it's real ingredients that are whole food supplements. And that's what the Lifelong Vitality Pack is. And so I definitely made sure I'm taking the full dose throughout my pregnancy. And then a probiotic and digestive enzymes are great for supporting our digestive system and GI tract throughout pregnancy. Especially when you're getting to the point where you're testing for group B strep. They ask me like almost every appointment, are you taking probiotics? Being proactive in that and trying to support your body through this time, and proactively trying to prevent that if necessary. And then Terrazyme is a great, if you're not aware of digestive enzymes, it helps break food down as well as nutrients. So it's making sure it's just helping that process of breaking down the nutrients from your prenatal vitamin and food, and making sure you're actually absorbing all those nutrients. So another big thing is stress management and keeping your body, this is a time that you need to rest, you need to exercise as well. That's very important, but stress management is, I did that with adaptive capsules. That's one calming. They have a supplement that you can take internally gratitude. There's so much research on what your gratitude does to your body, and the effects that it has on our mental health, and as well as just like our processes as well. And then using calming oils. And so I kind of will go into my daily oil uses on how to just proactively support my body. And then I really felt like I didn't have that many pregnancy symptoms that I had to combat. And I feel like it was from this foundation of doing my prenatal, having enough protein, high quality supplements, and then using the essential oils throughout the day. So I'd start in the morning with balance on the bottoms of my feet and On Guard to help immune support, as well as grounding. Balance helps just like decrease stress and bring your body to just like homeostasis. And then 2 to 3 drops of frankincense or copaiba under my tongue every morning to help inflammatory support. 1 to 2 drops of lemon or whatever your favorite citrus oil is in your water throughout the day. I even did MetaPower sometimes, that's great. And then 1 to 2 drops of your favorite calming oil on the bottoms of your feet and to diffuse at night. Some of my favorites are vetiver, lavender, cedarwood, and serenity.
All right. I have a little boob monster here. He's hanging out with us today. But I just wanted to go through a few things that I use during pregnancy. There's a list here. I'll go through those. One of the main ones, or some of the main ones that I used during pregnancy. I had 3 pregnancy losses before this little rainbow babe came along. So during my pregnancy, anxiety was a huge thing for me to deal with. So inhaling orange or lavender is a recommendation. What I did, I used a lot of magnolia. Linalool is a big component of lavender and magnolia, but there's a really, really high, I think maybe 10 times higher linalool content in magnolia than lavender. So I was like, boost me up. So magnolia for sure for me, for anxiety, was very helpful. I put it on the back of my neck and on my chest, and it smells awesome. You smell like an awesome flower, and people are like, "Ooh, who are you?" Breast tenderness, I did have a lot of. So I did use lavender, and it's very, very helpful. It works very quickly. Constipation used to be one of my biggest issues, but after my first pregnancy, I got into using PB Assist and Terrazyme every day. So during this pregnancy, it wasn't nearly as bad. However, utilizing ginger during this pregnancy, plus staying really strict with my Terrazyme and my PB Assist, helped with constipation a ton. I definitely used peppermint in the diffuser for energy almost every morning. And because I still was dealing with a lot of grief, and grief is a cyclical up and down sort of unexplained thing. The grief from the pregnancy losses and a few other life changes, I was using frankincense every single day. I was using it internally twice a day, 2 drops under my tongue twice a day, but also on my chest, like up into my neck. And I blended it with Siberian fir and citrus bliss. That's one of our leaders, Marie, her Let It Go blend is Siberian fir, citrus bliss, and frankincense. And like just lathering myself up in that almost every day was really helpful for me to let go of the grief and some of the weird emotions of losing pregnancies before having a successful one. It was a really great blend for me, and I still use it. Siberian fir is really great for transition periods and like opening your eyes up and kind of maturing through the process. So if nothing else, helping your body transition and your brain transition during the pregnancy is really, Siberian fir is a good oil for that. Heartburn, I definitely, you can utilize peppermint or digestin, but I personally use Tamer. It's technically the children's blend, but it's just another blend for digestive discomfort. It's got ginger, Japanese peppermint in it, and it worked awesome for my heartburn and also for any gas pain. I used some of the regular body butters through doTERRA's. There's like their body lotion tub. I can't, now my brain is like totally blanking.
You're right, the body butter from doTERRA.
The body butter from doTERRA. I added in copaiba and frankincense to the body butter, and awesome. Like I was so itchy during winter this year. And we moved to a new house, so some of the water was the components of the water is different. Anyway, I loved the body butter. It was very helpful. Plus, I did have some Yaropalm, the serum on hand, so I added that in when I was like beyond itchy. I was gonna say there was one other thing, muscle cramps. I could have used this during my first pregnancy. I worked in neurosurgery during my first pregnancy and was on my feet like 10 hours a day for 5 to 6 days a week during my first pregnancy. But I did a lot less. But when I was singing up on stage for many hours during Easter, and I was like 8 months pregnant, I had lots of cramps in my legs, and I used AromaTouch on my legs plus Cypress. You can definitely still use lavender and bergamot, but I loved the AromaTouch Cypress mix plus some jojoba oil, and that helps with swelling. Cypress is great for swelling, so that helped with swelling too. Becca, you can take it away with some of the ones you liked using.
Awesome. So okay, I'm back. Sorry.
She's gone.
I know. We're at an Airbnb right now, and this is my first Zoom class being here. So I'm so sorry about that, you guys. But in my first trimester, like I said, I really didn't experience a whole lot of symptoms throughout my whole entire pregnancy. But in the first trimester, I did feel really nauseous a handful of times. And one time specifically, I remember I was getting ready for work, and I felt like I feel like my pants were too tight on my stomach. I was just like, oh no, I'm about to throw up. Like, and I was trying to get to work, and I just like remember like pulling down my pants just to like relieve the pressure. And I just like laid on the bed and I grabbed my peppermint oil and just like breathed it in, and then it passed. And it was amazing. I remember thinking, wow, like so grateful for just how quick and efficient essential oils can work. So that's like my biggest testimony there. It was specifically jasmine or Japanese peppermint. If you have that one, is so nice. I think it's in Supermint now. If you haven't smelled that blend yet, it's amazing. Also, I already had an enlarged, like inflamed vein on my legs from, I don't know if it's from running or I had a desk job for a while, and I feel like it flared up after that. And so I already had a roller bottle that I've been using on my legs preventatively, and I feel like it really helped with maintaining swelling, like Morgan said, and restless legs in pregnancy. And it was the exact same oils that she said: Cypress, AromaTouch, and then frankincense is what I put in a roller bottle. And I feel like that made a huge difference too. So those were my two for there.
For this next slide, it's funny, OCD makes me chuckle. My husband needed this more than I did. But for any like compulsive things or super, again, anxiety laden parts of your pregnancy, Serenity is very helpful. I used copaiba a lot too, but that was part of my regular regimen. So anything that was like I was being very particular about or really stressed about. I have a 3.5-year-old as well, so the copaiba was helpful, but Serenity I did throw out towards the end of the pregnancy. Cravings, I'll tell you what, I didn't even shut down my cravings. The only cravings that I had during this last pregnancy were butter and sauerkraut. So I just let it ride. And my little butterball here was 8.15. He was 8 pounds, 15 ounces. So I blame the butter for that. I didn't really have any sugar cravings at all. So I just kind of kept up with the butter. I figured my body needed the vitamins and the fats. Stretch marks. Well, stretch marks are what got me into oils in the first place. I asked Kristen for a natural stretch mark blend, and she sent me this massive bottle, and it helped a ton with my stretch marks in my first pregnancy. So For this pregnancy, I used the Immortelle blend. I added jojoba oil and then added yarrow palm. I think, Becca, you've been using something very similar to that too. For tension and headaches, definitely lavender is very helpful. I used frankincense again for tension and headaches, and copaiba as well. Both are anti-inflammatories. I was sick an insane amount of times during this pregnancy, so having frankincense and copaiba on hand for headaches and tension and neck pain and sore throat, like all of those things, they were lifesavers. I did not have to take any over-the-counter medications to help with my sicknesses, which were all over the place. So frankincense and copaiba for tension, lavender as well, super great. Urinary health, you can use cypress and put that over your kidneys. I actually, when I was about 7 weeks pregnant, I had a UTI on paper, like my urine showed something weird growing. I had no symptoms at all. I utilized a protocol from Stephanie Fritz's pregnancy, birth, and baby book, and it was cassia in a veggie cap 3 times a day, and I did it for 5 days. I think you're supposed to do it for 7. I did it for 5 days, retested, and all the weird bacteria or whatever was growing in there were gone. So amazing. That really blew me away. I was like, if I have to, I'll use antibiotics, but I want to retest, and it took it totally wiped it out. It was so great. The xenoestrogens, I was on phytoestrogen, so I just continued the phytoestrogen, but you can use basil over your detox organs like your liver and your kidneys. And then for sleep, I constantly used Roman chamomile and lavender on the bottoms of my feet, and that really like knocked me flat. So those are some of the things from that slide.
Thanks for sharing, Morgan. I'll just briefly add in that one of the things that was unique for my pregnancy with Ever was that I tested for GBS positive, and GBS in general is like a loaded conversation. We could talk all about that. And again, every person's going to do different things. With Elliot, I didn't even test for GBS. I just opted out of the test. With Ever, I forgot to opt out and just did the test. And I ended up testing positive. And anyways, I did an essential oil protocol. Again, it was from that same book that Morgan has, the Pregnancy, Birth, and Babies book. Yeah. From Stephanie Fritz. She's a midwife. And I then retested, and I actually tested negative. So anyways, that was like pretty unreal for me. I was so shocked. It was incredible. But what I want to like emphasize about all of this is really when it comes to all these little odd things that can come up during pregnancy, there really are so many different tools we can utilize to support ourselves. And I'm so grateful. And the same is the case once baby comes around. So anyways, good stuff. Morgan already kind of touched on this, but I think, were you going to share a bit more, Becca? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I was just going to say the Immortelle roller bottle is one of the roller bottles that's unique for doTERRA's, like compared to other roller bottles doTERRA has. It is a full bottle of all of the essential oils in it. There's no carrier oil in it to dilute it. So I usually split it into 3 bottles, and this helps it last longer because I'm using it day and night. So that's a great tip for those of you that are wanting to use it. I haven't gotten any stretch marks. And I feel like, I'm just so thankful that I feel like I've just done it preventatively. The Immortelle roller bottle, as well as the Yarrow Palm body serum, has been great. And then you can apply that, elsewhere on your body that you could get stretch marks as well. It's just really nourishing. Some other things I wanted to share from the last slide was for xenoestrogens, there was an oil that was recommended. doTERRA also has a supplement called phytoestrogen that helps eliminate those xenoestrogen in your body. I did that on top of eliminating products that would contribute to that too. So that same midwife that they're talking about, Stephanie Fritz, she has a fertility protocol, and that's what I used to help get pregnant. And that is one of the supplements that she recommends using, as well as what else was I going to say for this one? I think just talking, like Morgan did about being sick while you're pregnant and you can't take certain medications. At work, people were getting sick around me left and right. And I knew I have a lower immune system, right, when you're pregnant. And I just preventatively took On Guard chewable tablets that have zinc in it and vitamin C, I believe, and things to help boost my immune system to help prevent me having to be like super sick and worry about, maybe my body being able to combat that, on top of pregnancy and things like that. So On Guard is really great. And then as well, like Kristen said, for GBS, I've been on a protocol because I did test positive and I was trying to avoid antibiotics just to not deplete the good bacteria in my gut for baby to come and everything. So essential oils can just be really effective for that as well. So.
Good stuff. The other thing that I'll add that I love about either doing a belly butter or the roller is that you remember, like, every time you're applying this to your belly, it's such a great opportunity, number one, to access the calming benefits of the oils for yourself. And so when we're talking about like anxiousness or anything like that, this is going to help decrease that stress response in your body, which really does impact the baby that you're growing. And the second piece is it also gives you an opportunity to really connect with your baby and just like take a hot second to relax and to tune in and just start connecting with your baby before they're even born. I loved either praying over my baby while I did it, or I would sing sometimes. And it was just always really, really a special part of the day. So this, now we're going to transition and talk a little bit more about birth, which I'm really excited about this part. Becca's, like prime time getting ready. So she's going to actually show us her little bag that she has ready to take with her to the birth center. But before she does, I'll just briefly share that there's this really cool study that was done. It was literally an 8-year-long study. And it was published in the UK that basically what they found through studying women in the maternity ward was that essential oils help to relieve anxiety, pain, and nausea during labor and delivery. So mothers that inhaled essential oils were less likely to need pain relief or to have labor induced. So it's a really great perk of using essential oils during your labor in any way that you can, because it really is gonna, like it says, help decrease pain and also just help you throughout the process, support you. So some of the best tips are to, one, prepare in advance. Becca's going to run through how she's preparing. Number two, make sure you've talked to somebody else, either your husband, if they're like capable of being this person, or if you have a doula or whoever's in a supportive role that's going to be at your birth, instructs them how you want the oils to be used. And then add a label that has notes and stuff like that. And make sure you've talked with your provider beforehand that you want to use oils to make sure that's something that they're going to be okay with and that you're on the same page with them. Take it away, Becca. Let's see your bag.
Yeah, I honestly can't zip. I think I'm a little too prepared, but I figured from when I was gathering birth stories from a couple of my friends for this class, and it was interesting. One of them said the only smell I could tolerate was lavender. And so I just felt like, you never know what's going to happen. So I like that I just have some options for me. And then another of our friends, she said, I craved rose. I don't know why intuitively, like that's what I used, my provider in front of my nose, and I breathed it in and it helped a ton. So I have lots of little things. We shared some of your relaxer through active labor. I have one that's called Relax and Focus. I just labeled it there. Can you hear me okay? It's in my internet's unstable.
It's like cutting in and out a little bit, but overall, I think we're getting what you're saying.
Okay. And I just did lavender. I'm sorry, I did not do lavender. I just did wild orange and peppermint for relax and focus. And I did a spritzer bottle just to kind of spray. You can get nauseous during labor. So I felt like this was great. And wild orange is like in a mood of uplifting oil. So have that. And then Energizer through transition. They have this recipe for wild orange, bergamot, lavender, and clary sage. I just went ahead and packed my Motivate roller bottle as like a little energy boost, as well as I feel like the peppermint and wild orange is great for energy as well. I do have my little thing here. I have clary sage packed to help strengthen contractions if there's a lull, as well as jasmine roller bottle. I just have this little roller bottle of it here. But I did see someone ask about using jasmine in their facial routine up until this point. Okay.
I'll just jump in quick since you mentioned it. Brittany, you said that you've been using it in your facial routine. And so one thing that I'll touch on is in general, when you see that an essential oil is not recommended during pregnancy, they're referring to that individual oil by itself. So I had talked to Dr. Hill, and like, for example, wintergreen is an oil that's not necessarily a great option to use during pregnancy because it can thin your blood, but wintergreen is in the deep blue blend. And what happens when we put it in a blend is the chemistry changes of the oil. And so therefore, the wintergreen is not going to have the same blood thinning effects as wintergreen by itself would. So I had talked to Dr. Hill. He said, oh yeah, you can definitely use that during pregnancy. We would have never made a blend that you couldn't use during pregnancy. So with the jasmine, for example, being in your skincare, I personally wouldn't worry about it because it's in a blend. And also, like, you were using it already prior to pregnancy. If you want to cut it out now just because you feel more at peace about it, I think that's totally fine. But I also just want to say you don't have to stress at all about using it up to this point. Jasmine essentially is an oil that by itself individually, similar to clary sage, will it can help induce or strengthen contractions. And so at times, if somebody's had a history of miscarriage, that's why we say just don't use jasmine or clary sage. It's not going to force your body into labor. But for people that have had a history of miscarriage, it just creates more peace of mind if you're not using that oil until you get to your due date.
Another example of this is Clary Calm. Sorry, I use Clary Calm as the hormone support blend, rub it on my abdomen every day. It was part of the protocol to get pregnant, and Clary Sage is actually in that, but because it's in the blend, same thing, very similar to that. Sorry, Morgan, go ahead.
No, I was just going to second that. I actually had a consult with Stephanie Fritz at the beginning of this pregnancy, which is, if you guys are interested, she's outstanding and really supportive. I mean, we all have quite a bit of knowledge about the oils, but just for me, after having 3 losses, it was so nice to have her weigh in. Like, she didn't even know me, and I had just found out I was pregnant, and I was really stressed, and I texted her, and she texted me back within 10 minutes. And I was like, I'd never met her before. Anyway, she gave me a great recommendation, and I do attribute like a successful pregnancy to her help. But she did say additionally, like she said, all of the oils that are not recommended, if they're in blends, their chemical constituents are already interacting with the other chemical constituents of different oils, and they're not going to act the same as they would if they were utilized alone. But again, I personally because of my history of losses, I didn't end up using Clary Calm very often. Although I craved to use it, I was like mentally not sure if I should. So it would have been fine, but I just avoided it for my own mental sanity too. But just to help everyone feel a little more at ease, the blends are fine. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thanks, Morgan. Okay, so then there's a recipe for back labor. Oh, no worries, you can be done there. That I just made the back blend. And there's also a peri push that you can apply while your baby is crowning to help prevent tearing, helichrysum and frankincense. I intend on having a water birth, but I have this just in case. The statistics are really great. I did not want to have a water birth, but the statistics are really good compared to a land birth, just outcomes for baby and for you. Highly recommend evidence-based birth. They share a lot of great information. Also, postpartum, have a peri spray ready to use every time you go to the bathroom. Is great to spray down there. It's Immortelle and aloe and lots of things. I think Kristen wants to share on that or is happy about it. Yeah, she's just happy. Okay.
Yeah, I'm just happy about it. I'm like, everybody that's tried that recipe swears by it. I have moms that I've worked with that didn't have it with one pregnancy for recovery, and then they had it for subsequent recoveries, and they just said it made like the world of difference. So that recipe, above all else, I'm like, every mom has to have that, the peri spray. And I'll just tell you, for all the, we should have mentioned this earlier, but you guys all are going to get an ebook. I'm going to share it in the chat here in a second. And this has all the recipes, the A to Z's that we went through, everything. So it's great if you're taking notes, but also we'll have a lot of it all summarized in this ebook that I'll share with you guys for joining the class today. So we wanted to do a bit of a story time just because hearing positive birth experiences, and like when I say positive, I mean births where we felt supported through and empowered. And so we wanted to go through some of those briefly. And so you can see there's some really great testimonies on the screen. Honestly, we could have pulled so many more from moms that have used essential oils during their pregnancy and for their labor. But just briefly, I'll share my story from with Ever, my second boy. So the night before Ever's due date, I had done a kettlebell workout, which I had been doing those throughout pregnancy. And then I took a bath. And in my Epsom salt for my bath, I added some clary sage and ylang ylang, I want to say. And then I took my bath and then went to bed for the night, normal night, right? And I woke up multiple times in the night, like probably 2 times, having to go pee. And I was feeling like a contraction starting, like that's why I had to pee, because the contraction had started. And, I went to the bathroom, and then I had my jasmine roller like laying out because of preparing. And so I just like quick grabbed it, swiped it on my pulse points, went back to bed. In the morning, I woke up and my contractions were continuing. So I went on a walk with a friend, and all through the morning, I continued to use my jasmine or my clary sage because I was like, yeah, here we go. I'm ready. I was like, okay, well, maybe we could have a due date, baby. But yeah, I was just feeling ready. And so I started using those oils. I went on my walk with my friend, got back, started to make muffins at home. We were planning to have a home birth. And so I made muffins. Midway through making the muffins, I was like, oh, geez, I can't make muffins anymore. And then we called my midwife. She asked us to start timing the contractions. And by the time my midwife got to her house, my husband had already started the diffuser. I think I have somewhere noted what I had diffusing. I think it was ylang ylang and wild orange and something else. They were all like really calming, uplifting oils for me. And I knew that I liked those smells during pregnancy. So I'll just note, like Rebecca said, sometimes during labor, your smell, because of everything changing, like your sense of smell can change a bit. And sometimes people will feel repulsed by things that they didn't before. I have never personally experienced that, so I wasn't worried about it leading into Ever. But one thing that you can keep in mind is if you have some little cotton balls and you have whoever is helping you with your oils, if you have them smell the oil, if you like it, then they can put it in the diffuser. That way you're not throwing anything in the diffuser that you end up really not liking during the labor process. But anyways, we had our diffuser going, and my midwife got there very soon after. I'm pretty sure I was going through transition as my midwife arrived. Very quickly after that, I got into the birthing pool, and then I within like 3 contractions, my water broke. And then basically, I think it was like within 2 pushes, Ever came out. So it was like a wildly fast but incredible birth. I did not tear, which I attribute that to a couple things. Number one, leading up to delivery, the main thing that I researched and that I've talked to other midwives and providers about that they've connected to like decreasing the likelihood of tearing is primrose oil. And so I used like a primrose capsule and inserted that vaginally for like a week or so, maybe 2 weeks leading up to delivery of my boys. And with both of them, I didn't tear. And then the second thing is, when you research and learn about birth, you'll learn that like when you're pushing and the head starts to come out, it's like crowning time. Breathing through instead of just like pushing the baby out is typically going to help your body to like expand in a slower fashion instead of it going really, really fast. All my hand motions. I'm like, anyways, when it goes slower, obviously it decreases the likelihood of tearing. And so that was something that I had talked to my providers about ahead of time. And I really wanted to make sure they told me, like when I was crowning, and told me and coached me to breathe through it instead of pushing, because you feel the urge to push your body. You really do want to push. So you have to like hold back and like just breathe through it. Anyways, I'm really thankful for that because I didn't tear. And yeah, then he was here and he nursed. And a couple things I want to say on the previous slide, it mentioned the reduced bleeding blend, and that is in the ebook that we'll share with you guys. I use that leading up to delivery as well. And one of the comments my midwife made after he was born was like, wow, that was like a near bloodless birth. I attribute that to the roller bottle. And then also I took medjool dates, which that's talked about in the ebook as well. You eating dates during your pregnancy. A lot of like birth educators will talk about why that's really valuable and something to consider. So anyways, Morgan's going to share her experience as well, which was very different than mine. But again, she was like an incredibly empowered mama, and I don't know, everybody's going to have a different story, and we value that. And I love like hearing other mom stories of how they were empowered through their birth. So anyway, she's going to share as well.
That is crazy. I also had dates like through the whole pregnancy. And I wonder if that craving or that like instinctual, that was an instinctual thing. Cause I just did it because I wanted sweets, but I knew that dates were a better sweet than like prepackaged stuff. So
They're so good. Yeah,
yeah.
I have a recipe too with dates because I like made this like ice cream date smoothie. Anyways, it's so good, and it's in the ebook. So anybody that's pregnant out there, I highly recommend trying that smoothie.
May even likes dates, right?
They're
You
so
like
yummy,
dates?
aren't they, May?
Yeah, so my stories are definitely different than Kristen's. My daughter May here was born. I wasn't really into oils except for just using a stretch mark blend my last month of pregnancy with her. So I delivered in a hospital. I had an epidural with her, and I pushed for 3 hours with no success. She kept like pushing up against my pelvic outlet and then sucking right back in. I got a fever. I had, she started having distress. So they rushed me into, not rushed, they just brought me back urgently for a C-section. So she was a C-section baby. My recovery with her was also really crappy because I had a CSF leak from my epidural and lots of headaches, and I had to have a blood patch after 5 days in the hospital. So then I got home and didn't poop for 7 days. I will say all of this because it was a terrible experience. And after my three pregnancy losses and I got pregnant again, I was like, we're going to make this different. And because I'm a healthcare provider, I do feel really empowered to like speak up for myself, which is hard for some women who don't have medical experience or just don't feel comfortable speaking up for themselves in a medical setting. So I do feel empowered in that. My husband and I are both medical providers, so we can really push for what we want and make sense and tell the doctors, hey, like this is what we want. But this pregnancy, I really, really tried to psych myself up to have a natural birth or a VBAC. And like a couple months in, I was like thinking about it, and I had encountered a doula and spoken with a midwife, and both of them were like, how do you actually feel about a VBAC? And I said, I don't feel good. I feel really stressed. Can you hold on for 1 second, Dave? And both of them said, if you feel stressed about it, considered doing a C-section, and that was like what felt right to me. So I had a repeat C-section with him. It worked out great. I had an excellent OB. He held my hand when they did all the anesthesia. Like, he was super great, and he was supportive of my decisions. And the C-section, you know, it's not ideal. I did get some medications the first and second day, but after that, I avoided a lot of different pain medicines. Especially, I completely avoided narcotics, and I pooped the second day after surgery. Huge for me, because before it was a whole week. I continued on my Terrazyme journey. I continued with my PB Assist. I used oils for my daughter's C-section scar, so I'm starting to use that on my new C-section scar. My hospital stay was 2 days this time, and I used frankincense and copaiba every morning and night. Honestly, I didn't even tell the doctors I was using the oils in-house. The nurses would walk in and they'd be like, "What smells so good in here?" And it was like all my oils. I had rose, I had frankincense, copaiba, I had Aroma Touch, and I had my Immortelle blend to use on my nipples for the breastfeeding stuff. So I was just like rubbing it all over me, and everyone's like, "This is awesome." So the first day after surgery, the nurse came in, she's like, "You didn't have a C-section yesterday, you look awesome." And I was up walking around. Everything went way better, and it was because I felt empowered and because I had all my tools with me. I just want to encourage you, like, if you want to do a natural birth, amazing. If you are in a hospital and you're doing a water birth, amazing. If you end up having to have a C-section, amazing. Like, you're still amazing. And after surgery, you know, I got home and I used all my stuff, and pain control wise, I did use some Tylenol here and there. I'm not going to lie. But I felt so good within 3 or 4 days. I wasn't using any medicine at all, just oils. And it's a blessing. Like, I felt so empowered, and I felt so unbelievably happy to know that I was supporting my body, and this little man is not getting any metabolites of medicines. He's, you know, just thriving off of all the things that I put in my body that are natural. So yeah, that's my
So good.
2 stories.
Thanks for sharing, Morgan, because I think it's really valuable. Yeah, to just, even like in your 2 different birth stories, to hear your empowerment and the difference that it makes. It makes such a big difference, and honoring your mama intuition and the decisions that you want to make for in the process of like being pregnant, having your baby, and then taking care of your baby afterwards. Like that, it goes back to the quote at the beginning. That is such a part of the process of becoming a mom, becoming a parent, for dads out there. Anyways, thanks for sharing.
Mhm.
So if any of you here are not currently utilizing doTERRA, or if you were invited by someone and you're new to all this, we would just encourage you to connect with whoever invited you, because we want to help you really customize what you get to start in a way that would really support you. These are just some of our personal faves that we put out here. If like you're thinking through like, okay, what are the things that I need to have on hand for my pregnancy? These are some of the ideas that we would give you, that I think all of us really utilized and loved a lot. The Lifelong Vitality Pack as a prenatal option, Terrazyme for gut health support at minimum. Deep Blue, this stick is great for like any sort of tension as your body's expanding, all that kind of stuff. If you deal with like tension headaches, all of that, this is going to be a really great option. On Guard Plus is a great way to support your immune system throughout pregnancy. I utilize those multiple times. Lavender, we talked about many times, whether it's for sleep, breast tenderness, anything like that. Balance, great for those emotions, any anxiousness. Grapefruit is great for decreasing cortisol, helping with increasing progesterone during your pregnancy. And it's also, well, yeah, it's just delicious in your water, helps you to stay hydrated. And then Aroma Touch, I loved using for like any potential swelling or just like circulatory support. It's great also for tension in your neck. And it's an interesting blend because it's similar for tension benefits to like what a Deep Blue is like, only it has oils in it that are a bit more soft, and so they're a lot more calming. So I actually did use this one a lot on my neck, and in Epsom salt baths I would do things like that. And so if you are brand new, or if you're already an essential oil customer that's a part of our community, like I said, I'm just in here in a second, I'm going to share the link to our ebook that has all these recipes. But if you are brand new and you get a customized starter kit, there's different freebies that you can access, like this pebble diffuser, potentially a citrus bliss. But if you work with the person that invited you and just let them know what your specific needs are and what you're wanting to utilize essential oils for, they're going to help to personalize it for you and help you get the best options depending on what your needs are. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to quick share that link with you guys for the ebook. Here we go. And while we do that, I just want to briefly mention that we always have 3 types of people on our classes. And the first type of person is the most common. This is honestly where Morgan, Becca, and I all started. We just started using essential oils and doTERRA products because we wanted to utilize them to support our well-being and our own health in our journey. The second type of person is somebody that, yes, they also want to utilize doTERRA to support their wellness lifestyle, but they're already like thinking in the class. You might be thinking like, oh, I wish my friend so-and-so was on here. They're struggling with this. This could really help them. And for that type of person, doTERRA has a really awesome refer a friend program. It's actually new, where if you refer a friend, they can get access to the wholesale pricing within doTERRA and the support our community provides. And in turn, you get paid in doTERRA cash that you can use to spend on your products. So it's really, really great. A lot of our customers have been utilizing this and loving it because it's a great way to decrease expenses and pay for natural products that support your family. The third type of person is somebody that looks at doTERRA and they really resonate with the mission and they want to be a part of it and build a doTERRA business in order to make an impact and also earn income for their family. And so whatever type of person you are, we're so glad you're on here. And I'll just say that, like, personally for me, I've been all 3 types of these people. And like I mentioned, I started off as a customer, and really the reason I started using doTERRA was because I wanted to cut out fragrance because I knew it was impacting my cycle. I went like 7 months once without having my cycle, and I wanted to not have to use birth control to like regulate my cycle. I wanted to actually help things to get normalized. And that's why I started using doTERRA. Shortly after that, I found myself just like naturally talking to a lot of people about it, and decided that I wanted to, have a class here and there to share with people. And then when we moved to Texas in 2016, my husband was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition. And the doctors were telling us he was going to have to cut out his thyroid and be on medication for the rest of his life. And we weren't really willing to like accept that story. So we got a second opinion. And the doctor told us that it is possible to reverse the autoimmune condition he's dealing with, but he was really going to have to get on top of stress along with some other health changes. And so right in that moment, I feel like it just like clicked in me, and I realized like, wow, my husband is like literally giving up his health essentially for the sake of our family's income, because his job was like our main family income, and he was working hard, but his job was really, really stressful. And so Tyler and I decided that we were going to be really intentional, and we were going to really pour into our doTERRA business. And a year later, he was able to quit his job And then 6 months later, he was in full remission from the Graves' disease. And so I just share that to say that doTERRA has been such a gift in our family's life, not only for our wellness, my husband's wellness in his journey reversing Graves' disease. For me, we never struggled with fertility once we started trying because of all the changes that we had made. And anyways, we're just so thankful for doTERRA on so many levels. And I'm so grateful that so many of you are here. And again, like such a special time for us to be brought into your journey. It's such a gift to be able to expand your family and have a little one that's into your life. It's also like a lot of work and a lot of learning, and it can be stressful. And so we love being able to be connected with you and support you throughout the process, because
Yeah, I tried to get the bags out from under my eyes, but we've been up a lot of nights lately, so I really tried.
no, you look awesome, Morgan. And I think it's, yeah, so beautiful to be able to see all these different stages, right? Like me with a 4-year-old, Becca, literally like about to have a baby any moment now. Any moment now, we'll see. And then sweet baby Ellis over there, it's the best. So anyways, we're gonna pause and go ahead and check for questions. If you guys have questions, you can unmute yourself or post it in the chat. Either is great. I'm gonna look back. Is everybody, like, the link for the ebook, is that working okay for you? If anybody's having problems, let me know.
I was going to mention Copaiba has been a lifesaver for me for milk supply too.
Yes.
I mean, I knew it theoretically. I was telling all the moms when I wasn't pregnant, like, use Copaiba, I've heard it's great. And then I think the last few days I've been moving around doing a lot of different things. So I forgot to take Copaiba in the morning, like 2 or so days ago, and it made a massive difference in my supply. And obviously I've been back on it, and you can totally tell a difference. And he eats all the time, so I definitely need to keep my Copaiba in my belly and in my body, because it helps really keep him satisfied, and that's been really helpful. I also, there are a lot of people like wondering when to actually start using oils on the babies, but I have a tamer roller that ran out, like that had remnants of some oils left in it. I put jojoba oil in the bottle and have been using it on his belly. So it's basically like less than 1 or 2 drops of any oil in the roller bottle, but it's like spearmint and ginger. I'm using it on his tummy, and it's been very helpful for his gas and discomfort. And I know that, like, to me, I feel so good knowing that I'm helping him feel less angry and less uncomfortable. So just a couple extra tips I've been noticing.
Yeah, so good. We're gonna definitely have to plan a babies and oils class, because that's a needed topic as well. So
yeah.
Anyways, it looks like we don't have any other questions, which is totally great. But yeah, thank you all for joining, and we will have a recording from this class. So even if